Jason on the mic. Welcome to the spot. Breeding those reptiles, straight fire, straight hot. Geckos in the house, snakes twist and turn. Lizards on the prowl, see the passion burn. Breeders in the game, they putting in work. Red tail bows, see them go berserk. Leopard geckos shine like scales of gold. Hobbyists unite, let them stories be told. Putting in that work every day and night. Jason got the spotlight, keeping it tight. Reptile keepers rise, making impact. Breeding them beauties, never looking back. Cages all set, heat lamps in place.
All right, welcome back, everybody. These slows are slowly but surely they are coming out for the Put in the Work podcast. So quick notes: if you are not a Buy Me a Coffee member, go ahead and get on that. Like I said, we're going to start putting out more and more content for those members, and then also for the Happy Dragons, we're coming out with that app soon. So make sure you get onto that. Use the code Gecko Exchange for 20% off on their Patreon account. If you have any questions, send myself or Anthony a DM and we'll gladly help you guys out. So today, we're gonna have some skink talk. Like, I'm not too familiar with a bunch of skinks, but my buddy right here, Tristan, has some really interesting skinks that started piquing my interest. So Tristan, hey man, so how did you what started you in this reptile journey of yours?
Well, I mean, this big lizard on my shoulder, honestly. He's really what kicked it off. I mean, I did grow up having some snakes and some stuff when I was a kid, but what really kicked it off for me when I was an adult and I had my own adult money was this big lizard right here on my shoulder. He's a Savannah monitor. His name's Bubba. I've talked about Bubba on a couple different shows. I've even talked about him on my podcast, The Hobby Hanger. He's what really got me to dive down it, man. He's awesome. I mean, look at him. So, well, it's not cool that he has his butt in my face at the moment, but
hey, as long as he ain't pooping, you good.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
No deuce.
Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a sweetheart. I love him to death. He's a real good ambassador animal for the species, for sure. Yeah. And I think he just wants to go and hide in the closet for a while. That's kind of one of his go-to places. He has run of the household, so.
Nice. Yeah. So he's a nice little free roaming monitor.
Oh yeah. Nice. Potty trained too. He's not pooping in the closet. He only poops in his enclosure. He's a sweetie. I say bye, Bubba. Say peace out, buddy.
What up, Bubba?
There you go. All right. You're free, big shoots. But yeah, man, he's what got me into it, really, and it kind of just cascaded from there. It went from him to, all right, I got him. What next? I got some red-eyed tree frogs. Then I got into a few geckos. I got some leopard geckos, and my girlfriend fell in love with the leopard geckos, and now they are her leopard geckos. Hey. Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff now, man, but we're here to talk about those skinks, and if you let me talk about the rest of my collection, we'll be here all day.
Oh, it is what it is, Like, I like to see people with a wide variety of stuff, and not just like...
That's me.
That's like, instead of like, oh, all I do is crested geckos. All I do are leopard geckos. All I do is ball pythons. No, you have I
have everything.
Yeah, I like people that are jack of all trades, master of none. That's kind of like me in a sense with a lot of my life, really. It's, I know a lot about a little, you know what I'm saying? So that's just how my life has been. So
yeah, I even just picked up another Savannah monitor, a little bitty baby. Dude, this thing's smaller than my finger. But the reason I picked it up is because Savannah monitors are known for usually having spots on their back. Mm-hmm. This one, its spots are so close together, it almost looks like bands. So I saw that I saw that animal, and I'm like, you have to come home with me. You have to. So yeah, I got another Savannah monitor, and here we go again.
Hey, but did you see that the one that Armin had? He had a Xanthic Savannah.
Yeah, that's what Bubba is.
Oh, he's Xanthic?
Yeah, he doesn't have like any yellow on the bottom of his throat. Okay. There's no yellowing there. Bubba's Xanthic.
Nice.
Like, I got an adult male that's Xanthic, and then I got this little bitty baby with almost stripes. I'll send you pictures. It's
Nice. All right. So, what kind of skinks are these that you're keeping?
So they are orange throat pygmy skinks. Researching these guys are a little bit of a nightmare because you go online and that's what you Google, right? You Google orange throat pygmy skinks, you'll start getting all kinds of wild different pictures of different species of skinks.
Mm-hmm.
They're all beautiful, but finding finding the scientific name for these guys was a bit of a nightmare. I finally found it, and I actually found it with the help of Phil Wolf and Smitty on Snakes and Stogies.
Oh yeah.
Love those guys. And we were scrolling through some pictures of them. Yeah, I'd love to pronounce the scientific name, but I'm going to butcher it, so I'm not even going to try. But we found it. I do know what it is now, and yeah, they're a East Asian species of skink, really prolific. They're all over East Asia. You can find them in China, the Korean Peninsula, all the way down to Vietnam. They're everywhere, everywhere.
Nice.
They will occupy all kinds of different spots. Like, for example, if you set up a bioactive 40-gallon enclosure and you give them a very thick layer of substrate, it'll hold a burrow real nice, and it'll keep your plants happy, and it'll keep your springtails and your isopods happy. You're going to see a very wide-ranging degree of behaviors from these guys, especially if you got it really well planted and there's tons of stuff to climb on. They'll be burrowing down, laying eggs in the substrate, burrowing down there just to hang out in the substrate, burrowing down there to forage for worms, springtails, and isopods in the substrate, and then they're going to be up in all of the foliage you got going around in there. If you got pothos, Swiss cheese plants growing, spider plants growing, they're going to be crawling all over that stuff, like almost as if they're semi-arboreal. It's an amazing, wide-ranging degree of behaviors you'll see from these guys. They're amazing little skinks.
So, so you said they're coming all from East Asia. So, are they coming from like the forest, or are they coming closer to the caves, or where would you find them at in there or in that area?
It really depends, man. Like it just depends on like where you happen to be. Like they're so
Yeah.
wide-ranging. You can see them all over. If you see them in some dense scrub brush, they'll be running around under the bushes. They'll be running around under the leaf litter. They're so small that they can get just about anywhere, okay,
Yeah.
and occupy just about any spot. As long as there's not a predator there actively going after them, they're going to utilize the space that they have. They're extremely prolific, man. Like they kind of have to be because they're such a small little skink and they're so wide ranging that they will just occupy whatever habitat's there and go after whatever food source is there. You can find them close to the caves. You can find them under the leaf litter. You can find them under scrub brush, in the middle of the scrub brush, running around trying to chase bugs in the middle of the scrub brush, and almost on top of it, well, on top of the scrub brush, basking even. You can find them basking. Just mine bask. Oh, there goes the lizard into the closet.
It's like I'm time out. I'm done. I'm going
Yep.
to sleep.
Yeah, he's done. Go into the closet. Bye, Bubba.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So
yeah,
so what do you think your theory is on why they're so like broad range? You think they just hopped on some folks' backpacks and got a trip somewhere else, and then they started producing there, or
honestly, yeah, they could be like they're not a big skink. It
yeah.
could even be like from agriculture as well and shipping even.
Yeah. So like they hopped onto some plants or whatever. Those plants got pulled and they got sent to another spot. And then, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
they started reproducing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Gotcha.
yeah, and they reproduce quite a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
they found females in a rice like in a plantation. They found a female with 6 eggs in her. 6 eggs in her, and then they'll drop about 2 at a time. So they'll drop 2 over here, 2 over there, 2 over there, and they'll do this from what I've seen just about year round. They will do this. They're that prolific that
Yeah.
they can just hop off of a planter or somebody's backpack and boom, you got a population of skinks a couple months later.
Yeah.
It's that easy. I mean, it's like the Mediterranean house geckos here in the States, or brown anoles or Bimini blind snakes. That's how it works.
Yeah. So where did you actually find these skinks at?
This is my one of my favorite parts of my skink story. I found them at Petco.
Yeah.
I found them at Petco. I walked in one day to get my crickets with my family, my girlfriend, my kids, and we all walk in and we're just there to get crickets, and we see them. And Miranda's like, they're cute, they're really cute, and I'm like, yeah, they are really cute, There's 3 of them in there, and there was a male and two females, and you could tell the male because it has that bright orange throat, and the two females don't have that orange throat, but they're still just as pretty. And they were still not adults yet; they were still juveniles. I'm looking at them; they're like $25 a pop. I'm like, yeah, we'll get them. I got all three. Yeah, set them up in a 25-gallon long at first, and they were doing good. They were doing good. I just kept observing them. I kept going online trying to find information on them, and that was like almost 3 years ago now, almost. Couldn't find any information at all. I couldn't find anybody else that even knew what they were. Really, I would go to reptile expos and reptile shows, ask people about them. Like they're like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of these things. And then I find one guy down in South Phoenix who has actually kept them and bred them, and is like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I haven't found them in a while, but yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I can give you some pointers. And he gave me some pointers on real deep substrate, some humidity requirements, some temperature requirements, and it kind of just took off from there. From that point, I started seeing more naturalistic behaviors, and I started seeing mating behavior. I started seeing digging a lot more, and then I started seeing eggs. And then one day I saw this little bean of a skink, like this little bitty bean of a skink, pop up out of the substrate and just almost immediately attack a baby isopod. And I'm like, whoa, what? Whoa. So yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
you said they're not real common in the hobby.
They are not. And I have
Cool.
not seen them for sale since.
Yeah. Yeah. No, every now and then I'll try to go and I'll go to a store. I'm like, let me see if I can find one of these things.
Yeah, please do.
I haven't seen any.
Have not seen another one since. I mean, my buddy who's had them before, he's gonna try to help me get some because he owns a reptile shop, so he's gonna try to help me get some. But
okay,
you should probably have him on the show. I'll give you his details after the show. He's awesome, dude. Breeds blue tongue skinks.
Okay, yeah. So, do you know anything about the like importation of them?
I don't honestly.
Because I'm thinking they probably had to be wild caught.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would think so too. Seeing as though like it's kind of common for big box stores to get wild caught stuff. Yeah. I don't see why it wouldn't happen for those little skinks. Yeah, I've tried to pick the brain of the manager that is in charge of the orders for Petco, and she hasn't seen them since, like listed, and she couldn't really give me any information as far as the importation process because it's Petco, big old box store. They have their secrets and whatnot. So yeah, I'm at a dead end there, but like I said, I got my buddy who says he thinks he can help me find some. So we might get that ship started. I really do want to find more, man, because I'd like to get them out in the hobby. I don't feel comfortable doing it with only 3 individuals.
Yeah, and you need multiple bloodlines.
Exactly. I don't want to pump out a bunch of babies for people to end up breeding and then have them all be related. I do not want to do that.
Interbreeding and that just ends up being totally bad, and then a weaker genetics, and then next you know they just end up dying real quick, and then people don't want to do it anymore.
Exactly. See, and I didn't know that when I started this either. Like I've learned so much within the past like year and a half alone. I've learned so much, and yeah, it's really made me want to buckle down and do this correctly, because I can see this species becoming something that a lot of people would love. They're really charismatic. For a little skink, they will come right up to the glass and want to know what you're doing. They'll sit up on their basking spot and just actively watch you. I mean, not to mention that they're beautiful. Did I mention that they're beautiful? They are beautiful little skinks. Like if you want to go ahead and pause this and hit up, Google real quick and find them, you can find them, and you'll know after listening to me talk about them, you can't miss them. They're just a little skink with a bright orange throat, and you'll see it and go, wow, they're beautiful little animals. Like if you wanted to house one in a 10-gallon, you could. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd say that's the smallest you could go with one of these guys. Give them bigger if you can. But if you wanted to house one in a 10-gallon enclosure, you could do it. Like if you're in a dorm room situation, but you can give it something better later, yeah, you could do that. They're a great starter species too. I mean, if you want to find something that's going to not destroy a vivarium that you've put in a bunch of work planting out too, that's going to be great. Like I'll post pictures and I'll send you pictures too of the vivarium I got set up for him. It's beautiful. It's stunning. I love it. It's one of my favorite tanks. I'll just sit in front of it and look at it because it's so pretty. They're great species for that. If you're one of those people that likes to look at something pretty, you got a pretty animal with a bunch of pretty plants inside of the same enclosure, it's going to be a hit for you. You're going to love them. That's why I love them.
Yeah, most of my stuff is hidden. Well, except with the exception of like my stropharis, like everybody else is hiding. Like I have like a fully planted for like my Cerdodactylus zebracus, my Pingo forest geckos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they got rattlesnake plants in there. They got mother's ferns in there. It's all decked out. Never see them until until the lights go off. Then I hear them because yeah, well, because so like the zebracus, the male, it's almost like a radar. The
like
way it makes that, yeah, it goes boom, boom, and it like, yeah, and I can hear it all the way from my room, and they're in the kitchen.
That's
why he is loud, and it's only the male that does that. And then I have, like I said, the Cerdodactylus nebulosus. Of the males make it's almost like rapid fire machine gun. The way they just do doom 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 boom 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 boom, making these little high pitched noises. And then the females will just like purr like a cat. So, and now
that's
I got
so cool, man.
and just like you were talking about, like not releasing them because you want to build it up. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing the same thing. So like the nebulosus, I just got another pair, so now I got 2 pairs.
Okay.
And I'm so once they both start producing, and then I can get like a baby from that offspring and a baby from the other pair, start putting those together and making some more different bloodlines. So that's, like I said, those are the goals right there, for especially for the Cerdodactylus, because there's just not a lot in the hobby. And I'm going to do the same thing for my Stropharis as well. Figuring out who produced who, and so I'm not crossing bloodlines, and like I said, having that weaker genetics.
Do the responsible thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, because we're not getting anything from Australia anytime soon, so
no, we're not.
Got to do it, right?
I mean, the thing that it very well could be, I could not get my hands on some more orange-throat pygmy skinks in the near future, so that's another reason I'd really like to get my hands on some more. Just so I can start the process, man. Just like you were saying, if people like you and I, well, I'm not really me. I still have imposter syndrome sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you. I still have imposter syndrome sometimes when I talk to dudes like you or Nipper Reed or Matt from. I still get imposter syndrome sometimes because I still am pretty new to this compared to a lot of people. Yeah, you got to start somewhere. I'm starting with these guys, so hopefully I can do right by them.
I have no doubts on that one.
Just gotta keep going. Gotta keep trying.
Oh yeah. So let's talk about those enclosures, right?
Yes.
Because you said you got them in a 25-gallon, right? A long?
No. For me, for mine, my trio, I keep my male and 2 females and a 40-gallon breeder.
Okay, 40-gallon breeder. Okay,
yep,
so is a long one, or is it?
Yeah, long.
A little bit. Okay, cool.
Long.
How deep of substrate are you giving them?
So I will give them at minimum, I give them about 2.5 inches at minimum. But the more the merrier with these dudes, because I'm telling you right now, they'll use it all. They'll use it all.
Are you using your own recipe, or are you just buying a bag of already mixed up soil?
Sand and organic topsoil mixed with some peat moss and some other stuff. Okay. I mean, it's real simple, generic DIY soil.
Yeah.
Holds a good. You just want to make sure it holds a good burrow when it's moist. If it gets dry, it's not going to. But you want to make sure it holds a good burrow when you spray it down twice daily, because they do like to burrow. It's a good medium for bioactive. If you're going bioactive, it's always a good idea to just do a deeper substrate. It's going to benefit everything in there. Your plants, your cleanup crew, it's going to benefit everything in the tank. The deeper the substrate, the better. I mean, don't fill half the tank with substrate. Excuse me, by any means, don't do that. But give them a good 4 inches, and they'll be happy. They'll be happy with that, and so will all your plants. and that'll also give you a lot of wiggle room for a good drainage layer. If you're going
Yeah.
bioactive, you need to have that drainage layer. It's almost key, really, especially if you keep in Arizona like I do. It's going to be key to keeping your humidity, is that good drainage layer. You have to have it, is if you're here in Arizona, at least. I'm not.
Yeah.
If you're in Florida, you could do open screen top, no problem. You'd probably be just fine in Florida. But here in Arizona, I gotta do some. I got to jump through hoops to keep it 60% humidity. Let's put it that way.
Oh, trust me, I know I know that pain. Like I said,
Indeed.
a lot of like I said, no, Arizona too. So like I have like these Aussie leaf tails right here. I got to put like a plastic like film on top of the screen so it doesn't.
Yes, tape it
Yeah.
down. The works,
Yep.
dude. I'm doing the same
Same
thing for these
thing.
guys.
Like and then some of my Europlatus, I got them in PVC enclosures because they hold humidity a lot better
Beautifully.
than a glass. And it's like so like the PVC ones that she's in has no screen top at all. It just has airflow going from side to side, back to back, and some on the bottom so it goes up and then out dissipates out, just so I could get constant good airflow in there.
Cross flows and stuff.
Yeah. But like I said, I got natural plants in there, bioactive. I threw a bunch of isopods and springtails in there. I said, there's like 3 or 4 different plants in there. I don't even know what they are. I know one's a pothos. The other ones I have no clue, but they started like dropping seeds everywhere. So now I got random plants just popping up everywhere in there now. So I was like, all right, cool. And she doesn't trash them. So I was like, all right, bet. That's what's up. And then like even like I have a ebanawi. That one's in a glass enclosure with a screen top, so half of it's covered with plastic, and then I got on the other half is like a LED light, so for the plants, so they can like that one small like I had a rattlesnake plant in there. That thing has taken over that little 8x8x12 enclosure. I say because the ebanalis only get this big. They're tiny. They're tiny geckos, and thing sleeps on all the leaves, just chills out, doesn't like even if it hangs on the leaf doesn't even bow down. It just stands nice and tall.
Yeah,
so
just
like,
just
cool.
like the skinks, man. Just like the skinks. They're not big enough to really destroy your plants, and you can have something pretty in there. You really can.
Yeah.
One of the best parts about them.
Yeah, and then like some other things I put in tubs. So like I got some Chinese cave geckos. They're in a tub because they need that nice humidity. And then some of my Cerdodactylus are in tubs as well. Just for like I said, that humidity in Arizona is pretty much zero.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, so
it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I even have a humidifier out in this area right here. So that thing goes off at night, boosts up the humidity a little bit. But
well, I guess I should give some context to that because like the coffee is now finally hitting my brain, and I can start to function and think like a normal human being now. So rather than ramble and confuse the listeners, now I can rock this. All right, so we were talking about that drainage layer, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that nice thick substrate layer and it's nice and planted, you have all kinds of roots going through there, right? You got your isopods, you got your red wiggler worms. Red wiggler worms are great because you don't need to refrigerate them, and your springtails in there, and they're doing their thing. And then right underneath that big old fat layer of substrate, you have a screen to separate your drainage layer from your substrate. You don't want your substrate leaking down into the drainage because that's going to cause problems.
Yeah.
Mold and fungus and this, that, and the other. Your drainage layer is usually going to consist of like rocks or those clay beads, and you want to have at least half of that. And for me, here in Arizona, you want to have at least half of that drainage layer submerged in water. What that's going to do is help humidity. It's going to help feed the plants with water, keep that substrate to a point where it's not too wet or too dry. Okay? And then some of that humidity is going to percolate up out of that substrate and help with the skinks, and the plants are going to trap it in there. That cellophane wrap that I have to put on the top is going to help trap that humidity in there, and it's going to keep that right around a nice 60% humidity.
Okay. I was just about to ask you what percentage are you aiming for with these things?
I like about a 60 to 75% humidity. If you go below that, you start to get stuck shed issues. My male had stuck shed issues, just like northern blue tongue skinks. They kind of like that point where they don't like the ground super moist because they'll get fungal infections and scale rot type deals. But if it's too dry and there's not enough humidity in the air, they're going to get that really nasty stuck shed issue, and they're going to start losing digits, like the tips of their toes and stuff like that. My male was getting stuck shed up and around his head and neck, so I would have to pull him out of there and start like peeling it off with tweezers, like real careful, real gingerly. But now that I've actually dialed in his humidity needs, he's done a lot better. I haven't had issues with my females ever, but when my humidity was dipping down into like the less than 40 range, which was bad, and I wasn't catching it like I should have been, that's when the stuck shed issues started to come around, was the less than 40% humidity range. And if you're keeping your tank at like 80 to 95 degrees in your basking spot area, and your hot side's about 80 degrees ambient, and your cool side's about 75, it's going to sap the humidity out of there pretty quick. With that kind of heat, it's going to sap the humidity out of there pretty quick if you're not mitigating it like with that plastic wrap and keeping that substrate at a perfect point, you know, like we discussed with the drainage layer and whatnot.
Yeah. So with with doing that research, right? Did you notice any like, is there dry seasons and wet seasons where they come from?
Well, yeah, and seeing as though their range is so wide ranging, they'll even go through winters, right?
Yeah.
Some places, like up on the Korean Peninsula, dude, it gets cold as shit up there. You're a Navy dude. Have you been to that part of the world?
Yeah, I've been to Korea. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you know what it's like. Like I would assume, and that's just my assumption, and my educated guess is that they're going down into burrows, deep burrows.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Are they going to burrow to like brumate?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Come back. Yeah. Okay.
Seeing as though I keep mine pretty warm throughout the year, like they probably would down in Vietnam, they probably wouldn't brumate down there, I would think, where it stays pretty decent throughout the year. I don't think they do. I mean, mine don't, because I keep them pretty warm throughout the year. They don't brumate really, but I would guess that they would up where it gets cold, like especially up in the parts of northern China and like you said, Korea. It gets cold as shit up there, dude. So I would think, they're going down into burrows, and since they're so they're pretty adaptable. Like they're pretty adaptable. I would think that they're probably finding refuge in urban areas as well, like where there might be some heating and whatnot.
Okay.
Maybe not so much in North Korea, you know, but yeah, maybe parts of China and stuff like that. Yeah, they're probably finding refuge in urban areas to help weather out those winters. But down more in their temperate, tropical regions, I don't think they're actually bedding down or brumating at all. They might do maybe less feeding and be less active during a dry season as compared to a wet season, with the abundance of food being more in the wet season. I would also think that they probably breed more in the wet season in the wild as well.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely that. Like you said, that dry, cool season, like you said, there's not an abundance of anything. So that means it's time to kind of slow down that metabolism, chill out. We're not going to be hunting and using all this energy. And then once that rain starts kicking in and that sun starts popping out a little bit more, bugs, plants, everything's going everywhere.
Yep.
And it's all right. It's time to produce babies so we can have our bloodline can live on.
Exactly. That's what's happened to us right now in the desert, dude. Like, desert's beautiful right now. I mean, my allergies are going nuts, but the desert's beautiful and everything's out.
Yeah, well, watch out. Tomorrow's the next 3 days is supposed to rain.
Oh, man, I'm excited because that's when all the cool stuff comes out, man.
It's gonna be in the 70s, which is crazy. Then
I'm gonna go herping for sure. You should come with me.
Then it's gonna bust out to like 100 and something like a day after that.
Yep. Gotta love the desert.
Yeah. Always Arizona. Just bipolar as fuck,
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of what is their diet? Because I know skinks in general are omnivorous or
omnivorous.
Omnivorous.
English, dude. Hey, coffee, brother. You got to get yourself some. Anyways,
I had some earlier.
They're interesting with their diet. So they're mainly insectivorous, my
Okay.
skinks. I have witnessed behavior where they'll lick juice off of fruit. I've
Okay.
seen that before, but they won't eat it. They won't eat the fruit. And I've even thrown like pieces of zucchini in there a couple of times just to see what would happen. And this is usually what happens. These skinks will perch on little pieces of wood and cholla skeleton that I have in the enclosure
Hmm.
above the piece of fruit or whatever I throw in there, right? And they will wait for the isopods to come up out of the substrate and start eating on the fruit. Then
Yeah.
they'll drop down onto the isopods and pick them off and eat them. I won't really see them actively eat the fruit or anything else that I throw in there though.
Yeah.
They'll eat the isopods and I'll give them crickets. That's usually my best way of giving them calcium
Okay.
powders. I'll do that when I feed my crickets. I'll dust my crickets with some calcium with D3 twice a week when I start to notice that the females are definitely gravid
Hmm.
and there's more mating behavior happening. I'll step up my feedings with dusted crickets twice weekly for all of the animals, even the male, not just my females, because I mean he's doing stuff too, and he needs that nutrients too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I start to notice the mating behavior dial back, and I'm starting to notice that the females are less gravid and they're not as receptive to the mating behavior from the male, I will dial back that cricket feeding with the calcium dust to once a week.
Okay.
I have them tongue feeding mealworms occasionally. Like if I see them just sitting out, hanging out, and I'm like, you know what? You could use a mealworm just off of looks. I mean, you could use a mealworm. Here you go. I'll give him a mealworm. And when I have extra dubia roaches and I want to see a scene out of Jurassic Park, I'll take a dubia roach and I'll just, like, dude, you'd be amazed at what this little skink can take down, dude.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed at what this little skink can take down. I've seen my male, his name's Tangerine, take down a dubia roach and just literally, it was too big for him to take down all at once, so he just dismembered it. And the way he killed it, yeah, the way he killed it was like a little crocodile. It was nuts. He just runs up on it, nails it like a little truck, just nails it on the head, grabs it by the head, starts shaking it and crunching on the head of this dubia roach, crunching on it. And it was like a medium-sized dubia roach. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, dude, damn, that's wild. And then the female comes out from underneath one of the plants and she grabs onto one of the legs, rips the leg off. The other female comes out of the other side of the plant, takes another leg off, and I'm like, oh my god, this is brutal. So finally, like the roach is immobilized at this point.
Yeah.
Flips it over onto its back. He takes off the remaining legs and just like takes his time eating the roach. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what? Whoa,
That
damn
sounds
nature,
like
you're
some
scary.
Velociraptor type shit.
Exactly, dude. That's why I said, like, if you want to just watch a scene out of Jurassic Park, take a dubia roach and drop it in your skink tank, bro. God, it was kind of brutal. But it's a roach, and I hate roaches,
Yeah.
so fuck them.
Yeah.
I'll do
Right.
it again.
Yeah. Oh man, have you ever like done like those those like a bug burger or anything like that? Like the little gel form of it, and try to feed them that stuff.
I
Yeah.
have no interest.
No
No
interest,
interest.
no response there. Okay.
It was just a big treat for my. It was just a big treat for my isopods. Basically, they were like,
Yeah.
What is this?" No, I think they need a movement, or else they're
Okay.
not going to be
Yeah.
interested at all.
Okay.
It's
Gotcha. Which I mean, it's still they're still showing intelligence by. All right, cool. That fruit's there. They know when the fruit comes or the
mm-hmm.
veggies come, isopods come up. Boom, start attacking. Boom, 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 boom. Get all that
Yep,
stuff like that. That.
exactly.
Yeah, that's no. That is level of intelligence right there for them. So that's definitely
Well,
dope.
I mean, in my opinion, anytime an animal will tongue feed from a human, I feel like that's a sign of intelligence. Even
Mhm.
if it's just a minimal form of intelligence, at least they're displaying a behavior like this. Okay, you're not going to hurt me, and you're giving me food. I guess I don't have to run away. That's enough thought process to me, at least, to say, hey, there's a form of intelligence there. For
Yeah,
me, at
yeah.
least. Some
And they
people will be
know.
like, dude, you're crazy, but that's
Don't
how I
bite the
feel.
hand that feeds you.
I have White's tree frogs, and they still do.
They're just greedy. That's all that is. Yeah, they're greedy as hell. So you're talking about that breeding behavior. So what was the male showing to get the female's attention?
Typical lizard, basically. He'll come up probably do a couple of push-ups, chase her around a little bit, and then get up behind her and grab her by the back of the neck.
Okay.
A lot of people, especially people that are not well versed in the reptile hobby, when they see that, they're like, "Oh, that's aggression. I got to separate them." No, that's how a lot of reptiles end up mating.
Oh yeah.
Not pretty. I mean, have you ever seen cats do their thing? That's brutal. That's brutal.
Yeah.
But
skinks. I've heard like blue tongues are brutal. They rip
yes,
limbs off.
yes,
That's like I couldn't. That's why I can never deal with blue tongue skinks for that reason. When someone
yeah.
told me, it's like, yeah, they yeah, there might be a chance your female might have 3 legs after breeding. I'm like, fuck that.
Dude, monitor lizards, breeding monitor lizards can be a nightmare sometimes because they'll eviscerate each other.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Like they'll bite their like slice their necks open and stuff. I heard a lot of crap.
God,
Yeah,
I've seen like videos at the vet of a male
Yeah.
crocodile monitor after breeding with a
Oof.
female. Dude, have you seen the teeth on those things?
yeah,
Dude,
crazy.
that thing was he was messed up. He was messed up bad. Like
Yeah.
it looked like he was shot a couple times. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It was scary. It was scary, and I'm worried about that because I'm gonna try my hand at savannas. That's one of the reasons I picked up that little baby savanna.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try my hand at it, but I'm not looking forward to the aggression aspect. When I have talked to people who have done it before or listened to podcasts of people who've bred savanna monitors before, they get them in groups as babies and raise them in a group as babies. There's a social aspect there, and they kind of form a sort of a pecking order, a social pecking order.
yeah,
My worry is that since I raised Bubba alone, and he's never seen another monitor. Well, he has, and it didn't go well, but that was when he was still a baby. I'm worried he's gonna try to kill that monitor when I pair him up with a female. I'm worried he's gonna kill her, or vice versa, because they're intelligent enough to have kind of that social pecking order, that those social rules in the wild, or else we wouldn't have a species that would just never mate. And I believe that can be replicated in captivity.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you have to do it right, and I think you have to do it from the beginning with young monitors and raise them together so they know how to act with each other.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to have 2 aggressive animals that don't know how to act with each other because they've never seen something of their own species before.
Yeah,
it's like raising a kid in isolation. If you raise a human being in isolation with no human contact, that person's going to have issues.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's psychology. It really is. And with monitor lizards being as intelligent as they are, I would argue no different, honestly. And knowing what I know about monitor lizards now, I kind of feel bad about it, not socializing him. Well, I mean, he socialized with people. I can give him to kids as an ambassador reptile, and he'll just sit there like a baby. My daughter does it all the time. You've seen pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be scared to put him with another lizard. I'd be scared to put him with a female monitor for sure. But I'm sorry, I got off track. We are talking about skinks after all.
No, because I was actually about to ask you about, have you seen, so, I mean, there's a guy out here that built a giant enclosure for his savanna. His name is Irvin Dixon. He made his like a dope outdoor enclosure. Mm-hmm. So I was going to say, is that something that you're going to be leading towards too?
Oh, 110%. 110%. There's been new studies with savannas where in the dry season, the adults will go up into the trees and they'll just kick it up there. As far as I know, they'll just sit up there and they'll just kick it, and they'll live off of that fat reserve that they have going. Ironically, that's usually what kills them in captivity. That fat reserve gets.
Well, it's because they're trying to feed them fucking rodents instead of bugs.
Yeah. Well, see, that's another thing we could get into, but to answer your question, yes, I do plan on having a big outdoor enclosure for them, and I want to give them arboreal space.
Yeah,
like I want to build this enclosure to be as tall as I can, and give them that arboreal space to see what happens. And if I see them doing that behavior in like the dry season, which would be the winter for us here, I think that'd be pretty cool to. So of course, they would have to come inside or into some sort of heated box at night during our Arizona winters, but there would be some days where I could definitely get away during the day in the middle of winter in Arizona, because I'm getting up to like 60 something degrees, sometimes 70 degrees. Yeah, it's kind of cool for them, but think about the full spectrum of light that's hitting them as well. You could go out there in 60 degrees, but if you have that sunlight hitting your skin, it's still warming you up, you know?
Oh yeah.
And it's the same for the reptiles. You just gotta monitor them and make sure that they're not freezing their asses off. But yeah. That's
I mean, it's the same with like giant tortoises when they have their tortoise boxes. They got the little heat thing up top where it's bringing, so they go in there to warm up during the winter times. So go there to sleep and everything like that. So definitely get it. It's definitely possible, especially out here in Arizona where it's not crazy cold. And I mean, if Chuck Wallas and stuff can, survive out here in these winters, I'm sure the savannah could definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so I've been to Africa. I've been out there. Their winters are like our winters.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy different at all.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are, in my experience, Bubba's extremely resilient. They're tough animals. They have to be. Think about where they come from and where they evolved and what they evolved alongside. They're extremely tough animals. You just got to treat them right. That's all.
Yeah. So back onto these skinks real quick.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So you're good. Don't worry about that. The babies, right? Are the babies chilling are they chilling inside the tank with mom and pops?
They can, and I'm going to be.
Do you pull them?
You should. You should pull them. You can keep them in there. And the first time I had them, I did keep them in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's the kicker. Don't skip a feeding, ever.
Yeah.
If you're keeping them with the adults, do not skip a feeding. Do not skip a feeding. Make sure on that schedule every single day. Tongue feeding those adults, making sure those adults are going after big crickets instead of their little babies. Mm-hmm. Give them something else to go after, and they won't go after the babies. I did it. Yeah. I did it once. It was a pain in the ass. You have to keep your eye on it. You do, or they'll start disappearing. It's sad, but it happens. Yeah. Obviously, like if you keep them in a 40-gallon breeder, it's going to be harder for mom and dad and potentially auntie to find the babies.
Ooh. Yeah.
So yeah,
babies.
Well, no, I mean like they'll forage all day long. If you have them in a 40-gallon breeder and it's an established bioactive with a huge colony of isopods and springtails and red wiggler worms on the substrate, the tank will do the work for you, for the babies, not the parents.
Yeah, okay.
Not the parents. The parents will forage. They will go after isopods. They will go after the red wiggler worms on the substrate. They will. But when they're doing that and they see a baby, they're still going to go after that baby too. If you're providing the adults with stuff that's above the substrate to hunt, i.e. the crickets, grasshoppers, I've even done, what were those things called? I forget. Oh, praying mantises. I can't believe I just forgot that. I found baby praying mantises a few times, and I've thrown them in there. They love those. They went nuts for them. Don't do big ones. Because big praying mantises will destroy lizards.
Oh, yeah.
Small ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they liked those a lot. They went after them like crack. This was stupid of me, and if you have a beautifully planted tank, don't do this. I was stupid, and I was still learning. Okay, I was still learning. I found this leaf covered in aphids one time, and I threw it in their tank. Thankfully, they ate them all, and I did not have a crazy, gnarly, wild infestation of aphids in my beautifully planted enclosure. But they ate the aphids, which was cool. They loved those. Just if you're going to keep the babies, if this is what you choose to do, make sure that they have something else to go after, the adults. Otherwise, pull the babies out, put them in the incubator, incubate them. I want to say 80% humidity to 90% humidity, and around 80 degrees to 85 degrees. Incubate them in that. I still need to experiment with the incubation medium, like what you're incubating them on. I still need to experiment with that. But
what are you currently using right now?
Vermiculite.
Okay.
Vermiculite is what I'm using right now, and I'm not liking it, so I'm gonna probably switch to something else. Like probably
I do two different mediums right now. I do, like I said, I got the hatch right. Generally use that for like my Stropharis. I'm using it for my Haemophilus right now to see how that's going to work. And I use it for my Pseudodactylus. My Chihuahuas I breed, I use that Pangea hatch. the
Mhm.
red the red clay ones, just so you can see when it dries out because it turns lighter as it starts drying. So
Yeah.
and generally I don't even have to for that one. I don't even spray it. Like it lasts through the whole entire season.
Nice.
So
I might
yeah,
try that then,
yeah.
because
I mean,
I do think that these things are prone to drying out. Like they are a hard
okay.
shelled egg, but I
Hmm.
think they're prone to drying out even still.
Okay. So they're really, really highly calcified egg.
Yes, yes, that's
Yeah.
why it's
Okay.
pretty key to do those twice weekly dusted cricket feedings. They
Okay.
need
Gotcha.
they need that calcium, or else
Yeah.
they'll crash.
Yeah. I've always heard that like the highly calcified ones shouldn't touch like the medium itself.
Hmm.
I've kind of battled back about against that because I mean my chihuahuas, those are highly calcified eggs, and I damn near bury like halfway bury them into the medium, and then I surround it with sphagnum moss as well. And my hatch rate is pretty good. Like right now, my hatch rate now is probably like 80%
Nice.
compared to when I first started breeding them, which was like almost 50%.
Yeah.
So they get stronger and stronger every season. So,
Yeah, you're
but
doing something right, man. Doing
yeah,
something
I was like, I was just thinking, well, I'm in Arizona, I need this shit,
right. Hmm.
and it could be just, it could be like it could be different in a different part of the country where they're like in, like I said, Georgia or somewhere it's really high humidity. They don't need that. I need it over here just because where I live. So my stropharis, they sit above it. They don't get dug down into that thing. And then, like I said, like the rest of my eggs are in like bottle caps with sand, and
Oh yeah, I
then
saw
the
that on you.
medium,
That's
yeah,
smart.
and then the medium is right there, so they're not touching the medium until they actually hatch out.
That's smart.
Yeah, and it's just all experiments right now,
I
so we'll
think I'll
see what
probably
happens.
try that. The bottle cap thing. I'm gonna try that
Yeah,
because the eggs are tiny, man. Like they're
yeah.
itty bitty little
How
skinks.
do they? So like, you were talking about they burrow, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
did they burrow and drop the eggs all the way down to the bottom, or did he just like kind
I've
of a little
I've seen
bit?
it vary. I've seen it vary.
Okay.
So they'll have 6 eggs internally, and then scatter them like two here, two here, two here, two here type deal.
Hmm.
I've seen them deposit them on the surface of the substrate underneath a leaf. I've seen them be
Yeah,
deposited about a half inch under the substrate. I've seen them be deposited as deep as about an inch and a half to 2 inches under the substrate. It
yeah.
varies.
Okay,
It varies on the individual mama because I got 2 different mamas in there.
okay.
But one of them has that split tail, that
Yeah,
fish
yeah.
tail. So that's how
You
I
showed
can
me
tell
that
the
one.
difference between the two of them. One of them prefers to lay real deep. The other one prefers to just do right underneath leaves.
Okay.
It prefers on the individual mama, and it prefers on the parameters of your tank as well.
Yeah. And so actually, you know what? That no, now hearing that kind of, so where they come from, I think it might be, well, because with some skinks, they can have live birth, right?
Yes.
And that's like the conditions of where they live at,
Yeah,
where it's
it
like
depends on temperature.
yeah. So for them, they might be in a little bit more of a warmer setting, so they could drop those eggs and let them just go ahead and incubate on their own.
Yep.
So okay, all right. I just had a light bulb moment right there. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, generally it depends on temperature. I mean, that's not always the case.
Yeah,
There's usually some outliers every now and then. I mean,
yeah,
northern blue tongue skinks, they still have live babies, and they're in the northern
yeah,
territory of Australia, where it's nice and tropical.
yeah,
And then, yeah, it just depends on where you're at and what kind of species you're
yeah,
working with.
yeah. And it's like, because like I had this kind of conversation with Savannah about bronias, not all like just or just alligator lizards in general, because like
Hmm.
you have some like alligator lizards that drop eggs, and then you have others that like are live
Or live
bearers. So
bears.
it's like because most of like all the bronias pretty much come from the cloud forest. The we have some alligator lizards here in the U.S. that some drop eggs, some drop alive babies. It just
Hmm.
depends on where they're at.
Isn't there one spot in California where their ranges kind of like cross over, and you have
Crossover,
two
yeah,
different alligator lizards that are live
yep.
bears and
Actually,
egg
yeah,
bears?
we're talking to Frank about that one. He's like, yeah, it's like same
That's where I
baby,
heard.
same species, but one drops this, like one has live bearing, and the other one has eggs. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah,
that's where I heard that.
Yeah.
That was a good episode now that I think about it.
Yeah, Frank is, man, that dude has crazy knowledge. It's ridiculous. How long does it take for these eggs to hatch?
In my experience, it usually depends on temperature and or time of the
Hmm.
year. If you leave them in the enclosure and you kind of let the enclosure fluctuate in temperature,
Yeah.
depending on the time of year, when they lay in the fall and the eggs are kind of hatching usually 5 to 7 weeks later, in the summer when things are warmer, it could be like anywhere from like 4 weeks to 5 weeks. Just it kind
Wow.
of differs.
That's crazy. That is crazy fast.
They're
I mean,
fast,
shit.
dude. They're fast,
Damn.
but I've seen it differ as well, and I've heard it differ. Like
Yeah.
I've heard people have different experiences from the information I've read online,
Yeah.
and yeah, they're
Well, I
wild.
mean, because you said you're incubating them, right? Or are
Yes,
you just let? Okay, so like with incubation, like as soon as you pull, like, are you pulling eggs as soon as they drop them, or you're like whenever you see them, like whenever you start
when I
digging or
when I
whatever?
when I dig around, yeah. I mean,
Okay,
yeah, you basically got to get in there and you got to dig around, and I hate doing it because
it
it's
messes
so
stuff up.
planted. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the same thing I'm dealing with. Like I said, like my Certodactylus, that thing's fully planted. So I'm like, fuck, I'm about to tear this shit up. But I've made like little areas for them to like, all right, entice them to bury their eggs right there because it's a little bit deeper in this area, it's a little bit deeper in this area, and it's not and it's away from the plants. So she's already
that's
done it once where she'll go under this, like in the front of my tank, I have a piece of cork that's right there, and the substrate is elevated so it makes her want to go in there and dig, drop her eggs, and hide them. And so that worked for round one. So we're about to see what round two is. I don't even know what the gestation on them is either. So it's just kind of wait and see.
you know what else I'm thinking about doing as well is I'm gonna start like I'll wait for the females to drop them and I'll start looking around in the enclosure and I'll leave them. I think I'm gonna leave them in the enclosure to incubate,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna start candling them. And as they get closer and closer to the point where they're going to hatch, I think that's when I'll pull the egg and I'll put it in the incubator. So the enclosure did most of the work for me, and now I'm just pulling the
Yeah.
baby out before, you know, it happens to get munched on by mama or papa. I
Yeah.
think I might do that.
Yeah.
That
So what, like when you pull the babies, what are you putting them in?
you can do a 10 gallon. You could even do something as small as a critter keeper.
Okay.
You don't want it to be super big because you're gonna have a hard time finding them. They're
Yeah.
so small, so small. I could have,
Are
I
you
could
putting all
easily
the
have.
babies in one?
Yeah, you can keep them all together. You can
Okay.
keep them all together. It's like once they get big enough to where like they're
You can
not
see
snack
sexes.
size. Yeah, you
Okay.
can. Yeah, you can. They'll sexually dimorphic. The males will have the
Okay.
orange
Yeah.
part. You'll start to see that develop kind of early. But
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. Where was I going with this? My bad.
You're
Morning
good.
brain. Yeah, they're sexually dimorphic. You'll see the orange throat starts to
Yeah.
develop. You can keep the babies together. They'll be just fine together. They won't really go after each other as long as they're all kind of close to the same size for the most part,
Yeah.
and they're well fed. It's like just yeah, it really kind of just boils down to make sure they're well fed,
Yeah.
and you'll be just fine. I'd be willing to bet that there's like anywhere from 10 to 12 babies running around in my 40-gallon breeder underneath the substrate right
Oh
now,
shit.
and I wouldn't know it
Yeah.
because they're so small. They're so
Yeah.
small. Once they start to get bigger and they don't look, they look more friend sized and not snack sized to mom and dad, they'll be okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to separate them, put them in a tank of their own. Make sure it's an established bioactive. If you want to put them in a critter keeper, you're going to be feeding lots of pinheads and flightless fruit flies, but you can do it that way. If you want to be able to keep an eye on them and watch them, just give them enough substrate for them to go down into and some hiding spots like cork bark and leaf litter. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
You can do it. Just keep an eye on them.
Yeah. Are you giving them above heat, or are you giving them like the heat
Yes.
pad? Okay.
Yes, I give them above heat. They like the basking spot. This remember how I
Okay.
was saying earlier, like if you set them up in the right enclosure, they'll use all of it. Yeah, man, if you set them up with branches to sit on and plants to sit on, you can give them one of those basking lights that you would use for like an anole.
Mhm.
Not something super intense, not something super hot. It probably would get like 90
I'll just
degrees
get like
max.
like a
Like
little
one of those
25 watt.
Yeah.
and then put on a dimmer.
Yep. Yep. You
Yeah,
don't need super, super hot. Like 95 degrees is probably about as hot as you'd want it. In
yeah,
that like right underneath the
one,
basket spot, that's
yeah,
about as hot as you'd want it. And they
yeah.
love it. They love it. They will sit, they will bask, and they will be just fine doing it. And
Okay,
they'll use all the space you give them, man. If you set them up
nice,
right, you'll see them all the time. They're not going to be like
nice.
fire skinks where you throw them in there and you see them occasionally, or crocodile skinks where you see them occasionally, where you see them when you feed
Yeah.
them.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you'll see them out a lot.
Yeah. Kind of like those what's the skinks I like? I like those emerald tree skinks and then like the
Yeah,
black skinks. I like the black skinks more. They call I think their name's like emo black
tree
skink or
skink.
some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
emo tree skink or something like that. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
emerald tree skinks, they're a bucket list species for me because even the wild
Yeah, yeah.
caught ones will just like hop out of the enclosure and climb around on you. Like they're that
Yeah.
friendly. They're
Yeah,
that
I
friendly.
see them
I want,
plenty. Like when I go to the reptile shops, I see them plenty. So
dude.
definitely
Yeah,
get some.
I'm gonna get some. I want to set up another Pauldarium for him, but I'm running out of room, man. I got so much. I need to get a
That
bigger
is,
place.
dude, who you telling, bro? We're waiting. I'm so ready for a bigger place right now. Like I need my own room. That like right now I take up part of the kitchen. That's what I'm doing right now. And right now, but we're looking for a place for like at least a 4 bedroom, so I can at least have a room dedicated to me. And
Mhm.
then like my kids come into town, they have a place they can go ahead and sleep in as well.
Yep.
But because I started getting like longer, like these like 4 foot racks that are like like 8 foot tall type of stuff. And man, it has changed like everything for me. So I just need to get more of those, and it's so much easier to put all my stuff on there. Like I could put way more stuff on there, so it makes it a whole lot easier. Because right now I got like all my montane stuff is on one side, and then all my arid that needs heat is on the other side. I just need more racks like that so I can keep space them apart more, and and just give them more room as well. Like I
Yeah,
said,
no,
I got
dude.
like pictus geckos that damn, they need some more room. I know they're like, holy shit, dude, like, come on, upgrade us now. It's like I'm so scared to breed them things because from what I've like been told is like they're rabbits. Like they just keep breeding and breeding and breeding. Like they'll breed under like a year old, and I was like,
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they'll breed at 9 months, like leopard geckos.
What are the pictus? The pictus. So those are the little sand dune geckos, right? Is that what
No,
those
no,
are? No.
those are stenodactylus. Pictus
Okay.
geckos are Peridor picta from Madagascar. Um,
Oh,
yeah, and
they're
then
the.
like you could set them up like either arid or tropical. They inhabit both.
Mhm.
So,
That's
but yeah,
cool.
no, they breed like rabbits. Like
Damn. All right.
yeah, I've heard stories of people like because like just like with the baby skinks, they'll put them in the get like let them be together, the babies. And they should know once those males start developing, boom, they're after a female that's in there. They should know you
That's
got like
great.
a 4 month old pregnant female.
Whoa, dude, that's wild.
Yeah, yeah.
That's wild. Damn.
So
Okay.
I'm terrified of that right
I
now.
don't
But
blame
I
you.
have to wait until I get a bigger place and have a bigger setup for them so I can make sure they have space to, like, I can move them, separate them, because
Mhm.
put them together year round is not an option for me.
I have some extra tanks, man. I need to get rid of them. So you let me know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. What was I about to say? So you said you put yours like in a 10 gallon, and then how long before? Generally, are they quick growers? Are they fast growers? Or they generally like take their time?
It depends on how you feed them. I mean, they can be
Okay.
quick growers if you give them the right
Yeah.
diet and you stay consistent with your feedings. As long as you're not
Mhm.
overfeeding them and you're watching how they grow. If they're growing out rather like belly wise rather than
Yeah.
lengthwise, you're feeding too much. Okay. But yeah, just keep an eye on them. They're pretty quick growers. Give them
Yeah.
if you're not letting the bioactive do the work for you, like I mentioned before.
Mhm.
Um, that they'll usually grow slower that way because they're doing it in more of a natural way, I believe. But if you got them in a little 10 gallon or a critter keeper, and you're giving them pinhead crickets and like micro mealworms, flightless fruit flies and stuff like that on a daily basis, they're gonna grow up pretty fast, and generally you won't have too many problems with them. Make sure you do give them some UVB. Make sure you do give them a little bit of heat. Don't cook them. Like when you keep them in those small enclosures, don't cook them. Like if you're keeping them in a little critter keeper, give them like the smallest heat mat you can get, or give them like an overhead nano heat lamp. If you're keeping them in a 10-gallon, you can do the same, like 25-watt nano heat bulb, small heat pad if you want to do that route. But make sure you do provide some UVB. It's essential to their growth, in my opinion. It is essential to their growth, and also supplement them with calcium as well. It helps the bone growth.
Okay, gotcha.
I've seen babies grow up and have kinks in their spine if you don't give them enough UVB, and like it's just a good idea. Give them UVB, give them that calcium supplement as you would the adults. Not as much. Like dust your fruit flies, or dust your pinhead crickets once weekly, and you'll be okay.
Okay, cool. That's what's up. So now we are coming up close to the end. What's a good piece of advice for someone that's looking to get into these things?
Find them first.
First part.
Yeah, no. Find them for no, not to be. If you find them, okay. If you find them, my best piece of advice to you would be start a bioactive tank right away. As soon as you get them home, do your research on a bioactive tank and have fun with the journey. Because you're going to come to find out that building a bioactive enclosure with all that goes into it is going to be just as fun as owning the animal that goes into that tank. So do your research and have fun with it. Besides that, I mean, just do right by them.
Oh, yeah.
Do right by them. That's all we can really do. Do right by them.
So
I wish I had a better answer than that.
No, you're all good. Hey, any answer is better than no answer, right? So I do have a kind of a two-parter closer, right? First, what's one thing that you love about this hobby?
Honestly, the discipline aspect of it. This is a hobby as well as a discipline, okay? And for some people, it's a way of life. And the discipline and some of the structure that it gives you, for me at least, is what really saves me. I mean, I feel like without the reptile hobby, I'd be kind of a boring dude. If we're gonna be like just a boring and sad dude, if we're gonna be real.
Oh, yeah, trust me, I feel that.
It's just the discipline and the rewards it can give you as well. Like,
yeah,
when you see your first little skink come up out of the substrate and you're like, that's a baby skink, oh my god, I've done it. Like, I've done enough right to the point where they're breeding. Yes, success. Or if you're a monitor guy like I am, and you've raised a monitor from the point it's like the size of your finger to the point where it's like this fucking big, he's a big old honking lizard, and you can have a relationship with that lizard to the point where you can, hold it like a baby, pet him like a dog, like they're all that trust and all that respect and all that love's there. That's success within itself. And when I can have success like that in this hobby, it just fuels me to keep going forward and keep trying more stuff and learning more things. And that's really it, man. That's what it is for me.
Nice. And like I said, I definitely that a whole discipline routine. I think that's like the military, right?
It is, yeah.
You got to stay on that routine, and it helps you keep your sanity.
Yeah, it does. Keeps you grounded, dude.
Yeah,
grounded,
definitely. So other question is, what's something about this hobby that you dislike, and what would you want to change about that?
Okay, so both species that I've kind of touched on today, savanna monitors and my little orange throats, are both species that would be looked at as a throwaway species because of the price point on them. All right. Mm-hmm. I hate the fact that you can walk into a pet store and buy a savanna monitor for less than $50. Yeah. I hate that because these animals are worth more than that. They're so amazing. They're so amazing. The fact that they have the intelligence to not only recognize their keepers and form a bond and a relationship with their keepers should make them at least $150 animal within itself. Not to mention that they're going to get big, and if you don't raise them right, they're going to be aggressive. You get a dog, okay? Let's say you have a German Shepherd or one of those stereotypical aggressive species, right? You don't raise that dog right. You abuse it, you don't train it, you do this, that dog can be vicious, that dog can kill someone, it can hurt someone. Well, you do the same thing with a monitor. That monitor's going to be mean, it's going to be vicious, it can hurt you. Like, some of these big monitors could kill you. Crocodile monitors will kill you.
Yep.
If you don't treat them
Yeah.
right. Will kill you. It's no different from a cane corso or a Doberman, man. If you don't treat them right, you don't train them right, and you don't respect them, it's not going to be a fun experience for you or that animal. On the flip side,
Yeah.
and you do the opposite, you do everything right, it's going to be nothing but an amazing experience for both you and that animal. Yeah. That's been my experience with Bubba. I did everything I could to do right by that animal, and now I have like my scaly best friend, man. I love him so much. He couldn't make me happier, man. I love him so much. I hate that there's this stigma on them, that they're a $50 animal that you can just get. People don't feed it right. They mistreat them. They don't give them the right amount of heat or UVB, and then they just die a year later. Then they're like, oh God, this sucks. I never want to do this reptile thing again. That's what sucks to me. I mean, not to mention the fact that you can go and get a Nile monitor that gets bigger and arguably meaner for the same
and around the same price. Yeah.
Same price.
I've seen plenty of them. Yeah. I was in my reptile shop last week. Saw they had both baby Savannahs and baby Niles.
Yep.
Both like same price.
Yep. Exactly, dude. Like, and then you can get a sulcata for basically pennies on the dollar. Like, these animals that start tiny and they're cute when they're babies, they're going to get big, and they have some care requirements that you need to dial in on, because if you don't and you raise the animal up wrong, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun, and depending on what kind of animal it is, you could get hurt or someone else could, and nobody wants that. Yeah. Nobody wants that. Nice. So that's one of the things about the hobby I do not enjoy, is that there are some things that not everybody should have without proper education that are pennies on the dollar, basically.
Oh yeah, definitely. That is a big gripe of mine right there. It's just like, especially like with the big animals, it's like, why do you need that? Is it just for ego, or is it just like whatever? I don't know. Like, when people have like retics and you live in an apartment, like, you don't need that retic, dude. Like, no, sorry.
Like, that thing needs an enclosure that's the size of your bedroom at least. Yeah. At least. And I can go on and on.
Yeah, that is a big gripe for me right there. But yeah, I mean, like I said, just with this podcast about putting in that work, and it seems that's what you're doing with these skinks. It seems that you're about to be doing that with Bubba and his partner. So
someday,
definitely look forward to seeing that journey with you, man. Appreciate having you coming on. Before we go, you want to go ahead and plug that podcast, man. Plug it out.
For sure. Yeah, so me and my little brother Carrot, and yes, I called him Carrot. If you want to know why I call him Carrot, listen to my podcast, or listen to our podcast. It's called The Hobby Hanger. What we do is we like to shed light on all things hobbies. Big, small, wacky, and wild, man. As long as you're not the dude that walks through Whole Foods and farts in the cheese aisle just to laugh at all the snooty people when they talk about how good that cheese smells, we'll have you on the show, and we'll talk about your hobby. I mean, we had Jason and Anthony on talking about geckos, and that conversation just was it was a great time. I love talking to you guys, and that's the kind of stuff we do. We've had field herpers, we've had musicians. We're gonna have a guy on that is a gun enthusiast to talk with us, and there's so much more in the works, man. So much more in the works. It's a good time, and hey, if you're a person that has a hobby and you think it's not talked about enough, you think it's awesome, it brings joy to your heart and a smile to your face, and you want to talk about it, hit me up. You can find me at SweetT480 on Instagram. That's my personal account. If you hit me up and you want to talk about your hobby, we'll get you on the show. I got a stage for you to stand on. Just come and take it.
Nice. And that's going to be on Spotify? Is it on iTunes?
Yep, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you find your podcasts at, you'll find us there. We're there.
You got to start uploading to YouTube, man. Got to get that YouTube views.
I know. We need to get on. I'm technologically illiterate like most infantrymen, so we'll figure it out.
Dude, it was a pleasure having you on. Like I said, keep putting that work in, bro. I said, hopefully these skinks start popping off. More people can start getting them, like I said, and then hopefully you get everything right for Bubba and the little one, and everything goes right for you. Like I said, looking forward to seeing that journey, and hopefully everything works out. I definitely want to see some CBB babies from you.
Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor, dude. Thank you so much for having me on the show and giving me the opportunity to talk about my beautiful little skinks and a little bit about my podcast. So, and my Bubba. I can't forget about my Bubba.
Yeah.
He's over there eyeballing.
Can't forget about Bubba.
Don't forget about me, man.
Right? He pops his head out that closet. Hold on, you forgot about me, dude.
You forgot about me. Yeah, I see you. Yeah, hey, man. Thank you so much. It's been a blast, and it's always a good time talking to you, brother.
Oh, for sure. All right. Well, everybody, when you listen to this, have a good night, morning, afternoon, whenever. We'll till the next time. We'll see you then.
Peace out.
Peace.
Yeah, Jason on the mic. Welcome to the spot. Breeding those reptiles, straight fire, straight hot. Geckos in the house, snakes twist and turn. Lizards on the prowl, see the passion burn. Breeders in the game, they putting in work. Red tail bows, see them go berserk. Leopard geckos shine like scales of gold. Hobbyists unite, let them stories be told. Putting in that work every day and night. Jason got the spotlight, keeping it tight. Reptile keepers rise, making impact. Breeding them beauties, never looking back. Cages all set, heat lamps in place. Monitor lizards, putting on a chase. From the boa constrictors to the chameleons green. Building up the hobby, live the reptile dream. Corn snakes slither, python stretch. Crested geckos leap, ain't no contest. Spotlighting the keepers, doing it right. Every enclosure clean, every feeding tight. Putting in that work every day and night. Jason got the spotlight, keeping it tight. Reptile keepers rise, making impact.